Hi, everybody. So I like to use Brick Breaker to kind of teach loops and also communication between sprites. So for the communication, we're going to do power-ups. And then for the loops, like the little bricks that come up, we're repeating the instructions. So that's a really good use of loops. But for now, let's just get a paddle going. And so with the paddle, it's pretty simple. All we need to do is tell it to trace the mouse. So remember, we're gonna use forever because we forever want to trace the mouse. And then we could just tell it go to, and I guess negative 160 is fine for the Y, right? And then with the X, I think it's in sensing. Here we go. So then pretty simple. We get the paddle done that way. Okay, cool. So then let's go ahead and just add a ball too. So we've got one here, and there's a lot of different costumes, which is cool. So if you want a different color, you can do that, which is nice. But let's get a good size here. I guess that's fine. Okay. And then what we want to do, we want to kind of make it bounce off the paddle, and then let's just make it move and all that bounce off the screen. So let's do this. I also like to tell it kind of to go to the middle. So I just, middle would just be 0, 0. So yeah, go to the middle. And then I tell it point in direction. And I kind of want it to go like anywhere from these angles, right? So then with that, I can just do a pick random. And the number I like to use is negative 75. And you can see it here, actually. Let me show you. Get another point in direction here. And click, it'll show you. So that's kind of how I came up with that. Luckily, it has that feature that allows you to see everything. Okay, and then forever, let's just move. Okay, we don't want it to be too fast. We could do 5. And then if on edge bounce. Pretty cool. So we've kind of got this. Now we got to make it to where it can bounce off the paddle, right? That's like the point. So let's just do that. So we can go to logic and we can say, hey, if you're touching the paddle, bounce off of it, right? And then the way we can do that is let's just copy this. Yeah. And then I like to play a sound, right? So we've got, if you want to add more and look at all of the ones you have, you can go here. I like this boing sound, it's fine. So we can go there and then we can do boing. Okay. And so, yeah, that's it. So it should bounce off. Cool. All right. So now we've got that. Um, and yeah, I think that's good for the basic one. Let's go ahead and talk about the brick. So we can go to paint. Let's name this brick. Let's capitalize it just because the other ones are as well. So we'll name this brick, and then let's make different costumes. So let me see. Yeah, I like that. And then maybe 40, that's too small. You'll have to kind of mess with it. I think that's a good size. And then once you have that, duplicate it. And then I like to just do different colors. Maybe something more pastel here. So got orange here, whatever you like. Um, yeah. So let's see. And then I don't know. Yeah, that looks good. So yeah, just add that, and then we can now kind of talk about loops. So we want these to appear like in a row, and we want to repeat instructions in order to do that. So let me show you. And every time you repeat instructions, that's a really good time to use a loop. So we can say, hey, when the green flag is clicked, move this block here. So we could say negative 220. So let's do that. And I actually, we'll start here. We might have to readjust, but we could just say negative 220 for now. And then the Y, I guess that's okay on the Y. maybe we do 170 just to be super strict about it. Okay, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna like move this down, clone it, move or clone it, move it down, clone it, right? So when we are repeating instructions, we want to use a loop, and in this case, repeat, right? So we're gonna repeat the instruction of creating a clone and then just moving it down on the Y, right? You can just do, or sorry, on the X, you can just do move 50 steps or 30 steps maybe. Let's try 40. Let's just see. Okay, we might need more. So 50 was like the right instinct. Okay, that's cool. And then maybe we just take this down to 9. Okay. And then, there's a couple of options because I this one's kind of bothering me. So maybe we make this a little bit smaller. Let's see. Okay, and then maybe we do, and this is just like, you adjust things how you think they should be adjusted, right? Um, that looks okay. And then maybe we just move this down 200. All right. There's a little gap here and a little gap here. So it's not perfect, but it is what it is. And you can continue to polish, right? So if you want to, maybe we do make this 50. Let's see what that looks like. And then maybe we do move this down to 220. So I don't want to get super lost in polishing. I feel like I'm doing that. But yes. And then one thing I want to do, I'm gonna do it when I start as a clone, and I'm gonna do a show, and then I'm gonna hide it here because we don't want to show the first one. Remember, we're cloning and then moving down. So okay, so we got that. I'm trying to think. I say we go back to 9, make this like 45, and then let's see. Okay, we go to 10. Sorry. Okay, cool. That's fine. And then we do 210. So no more polishing at this point. I'm pretty happy with this. Okay, cool. And then let's just repeat it again. So what we're gonna do, the reason why we're gonna have a repeat within a repeat is we're gonna move it down now. So we're gonna move it down and then we're gonna repeat the instruction, right? So we've got kind of a loop within a loop going here. So what we need to do is we need to set the X to this 210. So we can copy paste that here, right? It did not copy paste. So negative 210. And then we want to change Y. We want to set it back, right? And then we want to change the Y to make it go down a little bit, right? So we make another row. And let me go to next costume, and this will show kind of the loop working. So cool. We don't want to repeat it 10 times though. Probably 4 is fine. We don't need that many blocks, so that's cool. And if you think that might be like too much, maybe do negative 25. Um, but as you can see, we have 40 blocks here, right? Because 4 times 10. So I think a smart way to do this is just make a count variable. Because what we need to do is we need to say, hey, when we're out of blocks, right? When count is 0, 40. Um, and you can't even probably do a count plus 1 here if you want to not manually count it. That might be a smart way to do it if you don't want to hard code it. Right now, let's just do this because we could just do the math. Okay, and then now we got to make the blocks kind of disappear when we hit them, right? That's kind of essential. So I'm going to keep this here for development purposes, but eventually we're going to get rid of the count because people can see the blocks and that's kind of redundant. So let's just add a forever loop and then let's just say, hey, if you are touching the ball, we're going to send a message because I struggle with clone. So let me just show you what I'm saying is let me broadcast message. I'm going to call this message hit. Okay, so we're going to broadcast hit. Um, and then I'm going to delete this clone. But before I do that, one thing that helps is adding like a wait. Sorry, just a zero point 0.1 wait. so that the computer has time to process everything. So, and then we're going to delete. Okay. So then you're also going to want to change count by -1 as well. Okay. So we do this and it erases it. Okay. I wonder why the count didn't go down. There it goes. It erases it. Another thing we want to do is we want to not let the ball start so early. So let's add a wait. So yeah, you move it there. And then let's just wait for 3 seconds so that it loads like the bricks. Okay, cool. And then we see it doesn't really bounce off. And this is where that hit comes in, right? So we can then, here's where we can do the message. So then we can say this events, when I receive hits, okay, and you can say right now if, and this works sometimes. Let's see if this works with a clone. If it doesn't work with the clone, you can use like this join trick. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Let's just see if it works. If it doesn't work, then I have a trick for this, but let's see. Let's see if it bounces off. Cool. So yeah, you've got kind of the brick breaker going. So let's just wrap up what would be like a basic brick breaker, and then we're gonna add power ups. Okay, so basic brick breaker would be if the count equals 0, um, the game's over. Um, and then you could also add lives, right? So I'm trying to think where I would add that logic. I think, I don't know. I don't really want to do it in the ball or the paddle. I think backdrop is always a good place to do it. So maybe here's where we do our winning condition. It's not my favorite, but it's fine. So we can say, hey, when we start the game, if count equals 0, let's just end it. And you guys can go to a next screen or, another level or whatever it is. Count equals 0. I'm just going to do stop all. Okay. And that just is what it is. It's better to maybe make a game over screen and stop all, but we're not going to do this losing condition too much yet. I just kind of want to show it in case you want to wrap it up. So yeah, if you get to 0, you could do stop all and you can make like a you win screen or next level screen. And then we will want to do lives, I guess. So yeah. And for testing purposes, I'm not really going to keep this lives going. But what we can do is we could just say the same thing if count equals 0, and then maybe we could, no, let's do a different one because it'll technically be different, the winning and losing condition. So I was going to use an or, but let's just keep it as separate if statements, because the result won't be the same. Winning and losing are different. So if lives equals 0, I'm going to do stop all. And then what we'll have to do is we'll have to detect how many lives we have. So one thing maybe we can do is one trick that people use is they'll put a line here and they'll say if touching line. I think that's fine. I like that, but I think I'm also just going to use the Y here. So I'm going to say, hey, if your Y gets way too low, like if it gets, let's just say -1 less than that, we'll take away a life. So let's do that. If, okay, we'll do less than -170. Okay, and I think that's less than the minimum. With Y position, we're going to change lives by -1. Okay, so there you go. Let's see if that, we'll have to set lives as well. So let's do that in the game logic. Set lives to 3. So we start the game. We got 3 lives, and we're going to take these lives out. Let me show you how I do it to where it's better, but let's just make it. So it did not go, and I wonder why. We'll have to trace. So it looks like it doesn't get to that super negative place. So let's see its minimum. I guess its minimum is like 168. So yeah, I think we can do that. So let's just do if it's less than -167, we'll change the life by 1. So let's see if that works. I think the trick where you put like a black line here and you detect that black line also works. So you just make a new sprite, draw a black line, and detect it. I did not mean to actually hit the ball there. Oh, let's see. So did lives go down? Yeah. So we see lives went down and it goes down, but then it goes down because it detects it multiple times. So yeah, let's do that trick. And that's kind of annoying for me because I didn't want to have to do this, but that's okay. Just make like a straight line, okay? And you call that sprite one, right? So you make a straight line down here, okay? And that's sprite one, and then you could just say if touching sprite one. So let's see if that works better. If touching sprite one, let's actually make it bounce too. Or you could also make it like disappear and restart. So maybe we could do this. We could like duplicate this. Okay, and then we change lives. That might have been another way I would have done it. So either way, I guess I showed you both ways. It just that's good. I mean, the point is to teach. So I showed you both ways of doing it. That's fine. We'll go lives by -1 and let's just test it. But I'm gonna not actually do this because I do want to test it. So it should have made our lives -1. Oh, there it is. Cool. So it shows you after. Um, and then I guess a better way to do that, because we don't really want to show lives here. So I'm gonna uncheck that. And what you can do is you could maybe use a join here. So you could just uh, say you have, you know, and then we can use a join, I believe, looks, um, where are the joins? I think it's here. Okay. Join lives. So you can say you have live lives. Let's see how that looks. Let's see. Should tell us. Okay. You have for 3 seconds? Oh, wait. Maybe we do. Sorry. You have, and then we want to do like a join there. So let's just do like this. Lives left. Yeah. Let's just do it like that. Sorry. Let's just, yeah. Not overthink it because you could do another join with you have X lives, but let's just do it this way. So, and then it just says lives left 3. So maybe, yeah, cool. And it tells you lives left 2. So that's, pretty basic. And you've got this. And then normally you take this count out. So yeah, it would kind of look like this. And then you lose a life. And then if you lose all of them, I'm going to put a space here. Ah, man, space. So that way, yeah, it looks better. And then if lives go down to 1 to 0, right, the game stops. So then you change the game to game over screen. So we should have 3 lives. Lives left. Okay, well, let's change lives by 1 before. My bad. So okay. I think finally we got this right. So look. And that should work as like a very basic brick breaker game. I kind of want to add power-ups though. So let's do that now. And then yeah, that's fine. That looks okay. I'm happy with that. So then let's go ahead and start to add the power-ups. So we can go ahead and do this. Let's call this power ups. And I guess we're going to start one at a time. I'm going to make a bunch of different costumes for this, but for the first one, let's just do this. I mean, this color works. And then, no, I like that color. I didn't mean to change that. But I want to do like a multi-ball. So I'm gonna make this like 20 maybe, and then yes, perfect. I did want black. So there, and then we make like some arrows. And no, let's do make the paddle bigger. So this one's gonna be a bigger paddle power up. And I know that drawing is kind of not great, but it is what it is. So for the power ups, okay, we're gonna say like this. We're gonna just do when I receive hit, and we're gonna hard code. Where's when I receive message hits? There it is. When I receive hit, right? We're just gonna test if the count is 32. Um, so maybe we do put count here for now. So, or let's do 30, like 7, right? And so we're just gonna hard code it now. You do want to like randomize this more in a game, and we can do that later, but for now, just for testing purposes, let's just hard code it. And then when we have different costumes, I'm just gonna do this now. This is how we're gonna randomize which thing comes out, right? We're gonna have 3 power-ups, but for now, we're just gonna do, we have one costume, but we're gonna have the other ones in a little bit. Okay. And then um we'll do that. And then we'll also say go to ball. So hey, if you hit the brick, the count is 37. Go ahead and go to the this costume, which is to make the paddle bigger, and then also go to the ball, and then we could just tell it and then drop. Right? Go ahead and just fall down. Change Y by -5. Okay, so just fall down, and then we can kind of do our ifs here. So let's just do it. We do want to hide it as well. So let's do that. But yeah, we see it falling down. That works. Yes. And then we want to just say if we hit it. So then if touching paddle. Okay. But we also want to detect, and this is just for the future, if it's also the first costume, right? So we're going to do that because we're going to add the other power-ups here. So I'm just going to show you how to do that. I believe it's costume number, and then we could do equals. If costume number equals 1, which is the make bigger power-up, okay, I'm gonna broadcast the message. We're gonna broadcast, and then we can call this big paddle, whatever you want to call it. So we're gonna broadcast this, and then we can just go ahead and hide it. Okay. And then what I'm gonna say is when we start the game, let's also hide it. And then we're gonna show it when it drops. So only show it when the count is 37. Um, and then we can hard code more. So we could just do this or, and we can duplicate. And let me show you. And then you can put this in the or, I believe. I think we should be able to. If not, that's a problem. Okay. Awesome. So we can say if 37 and 32, and you could just keep adding, right? 28, right? And so these are the times when the power up's going to come out. Awesome. Okay. So just it's hard coded. It's not the best, but it just works for right now. Um, okay. Let's see how this is looking. So we click play, it hides, and then we get it, and then let's see if we can like catch it. So I guess I should have just done the broadcast, but let's just see. It should come out. We catch it. Perfect. All right, now we need to get a power up from it. So then let's I'd say we make it in the paddle, right? So when the paddle receives the message, big paddle, so you see, let's make another costume. Let's just duplicate this and let's just call this big paddle. Okay. And then we could just select like this. And then, oh, I think maybe we just, okay, we can select all and just do like this, I guess. I mean, that works. Um, yeah. Okay. And so we've got paddle, big paddle. So then we'll have to code this and say, hey, we do need to switch to regular paddle at the beginning of the game. Okay. And then when I receive big paddle, we'll switch it to big paddle. And then we'll switch it back to the regular paddle after, what, however much time you want. Let's just do like 7 seconds. So you get 7 seconds of a bigger paddle. So let's just see how this works. Okay, so we're just playing the game and this bounces off. And then our power up should come up at 37. So it comes up, we get a bigger paddle. Awesome. Cool. Very basic power up. All right, now let's do the multi-ball power up because that one's a little bit more difficult. So for multi-ball, I like to kind of draw it like this, I guess. All right, I like to make like a little circle like this. And then within that, I like to make, no, stop. I hate that. Um, exit out of that. Okay. And then I like to make a lot of other little circles. So that works. Like it's like multi-ball. And honestly, probably copy paste. Should probably select the smaller one. Let me copy paste. So we get the same, delete that one, paste. So you get kind of the same. So this would be representative. Hey, we get multiple balls. So yeah, let's go ahead and code that. So then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna duplicate this. Okay, awesome. And we're gonna say, hey, if costume number is 2, and then we can randomize it here, but I just want to test the multi-ball. But yeah, like here we go. Okay, we might get multi-ball, we might get bigger paddle. But let's just test the multi-ball. Okay, so how would we actually code that? So we do want to actually, whoops, we want to send a different message, right? Let's send multi-ball, okay, as a message. All right, so then I think we can do that in the ball. Okay. So when I receive multi-ball, yeah, let's just make 2 clones. I think triple multi-ball is good. Um, and then what we could do, I like to have 2 when started as a clones, actually. Okay, and one is just going to be very basic. One is just going to say, hey, wait 10 seconds and then delete the clones. So I think it's in control wait, right? Yeah. Wait, however much time you want to give the user, 10 seconds, and then delete them both. Right? Pretty simple. The rest of this, you just copy paste. Yeah. Yeah. You just copy paste. And then let's see. Because these are clones, we might this hit might not work with multi-ball. So let's just see. Let's see if this works. So let's just test because I was having trouble with that. And if that happens, I have this little trick that I read the documentation like on and it look okay. So that looks good. I don't know why the power up didn't fall. I feel like a power up should fall, right? So let's try that again. You don't want to lose lives whenever. Oh my goodness. So things they should fall for sure. So I wonder why you have to touch paddle and the costume number. has to go down. So I wonder why this isn't falling. Touching paddle. It should touch the paddle. That's super weird. It shouldn't have gotten the command. When I receive multi-ball, not hit. Perfect. Okay, so that's what. No, 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 no. No, no, no. Hit. When I receive multi-ball, we create clones of ourselves. So we should only get multi-ball whenever it falls. That's so weird. So let's try this again. But that's really weird. Why is it just automatically creating clones? That doesn't make any sense to me. So let's look at the code. And let's see. When I receive hit, you have to be at 37, and then we switch costumes. We have to touch the paddle and be at -2 to broadcast it. So I have no idea why I would be doing this. So when I receive multi-ball, yeah, that should do it. And when I start as a clone, hmm, that's frustrating because I really am not sure why it would happen that way. Okay, because it should only be creating it if we receive multi-ball, and we should only get multi-ball if it's touching the paddle. Make that very clear in the code. So let me, why is this firing off? I don't know. Maybe I have to make it, maybe the power-up's already, that's super weird. I'm very confused. I guess it's already there. So that's super weird. So let's just do some cleaning up here. Let's do set size. And I don't know why the size is so huge, man. I didn't ask it to, so just show it really fast. Okay, and then I don't know why the size is this. 50. Okay, let's see now. And then maybe but we should it should go to the ball. So yeah, we'll just set size to 50. And then maybe when we start the game as well, we set size to, so that's a little bit better. I mean, we want to maybe make it smaller. Okay. All right. So now we've got it going. That was a really weird bug. Okay, cool. And then yeah, probably we don't want it going to like double like that. So and then the problem is you lose lives every time you get another multi-ball. So that's something that we're gonna have to clean up. So it can't really be a clone. Um, if so with this, when I start as a clone, let's just get rid of the if touching sprite one, we change lives. Let's just get rid of all that. Let's just say, yeah, you know what? Let's just delete it. If you touch the floor, you get deleted. That's it, and it doesn't change too much. So okay, cool. So we just delete it. That's cool. So nice. Okay, so we're getting it. And then I'm gonna add a rocket last and we can be done. I think this multi-ball one's kind of hard. But yeah, let's see it. And then obviously you don't want like multiple multi-balls. So that's something that I might want to do like if this is already yeah, this is madness, right? This is just craziness. We can't have this. So yeah, that's something that we might have to work on. But let's go ahead and add the last power up. Because yeah, that gets wild. So um I'm not really sure how we would detect. Like you could maybe add a variable to say like if multi-ball is happening is true, like a Boolean, simple Boolean. That's kind of maybe how I would handle it. Um Yeah. Maybe multi-ball is just something that happens once. Maybe we hard code the power-ups and it's not super random. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but like, yeah, multiple multi-balls is kind of a problem. So that's something I'll have to figure out. But let's just make this rocket power and we'll be done. So let's just do that. And then polishing and everything. We can talk about that later. So let's do that. And then that's fine. I mean, I don't want to spend too much time designing. So let's just do like this will represent like a rocket. Okay. Awesome. So that's like a rocket. And then we're gonna need like a rocket. So let's make one. I guess we can call this rocket. Okay. And then we could just make like a little thing that launches. Boom, boom, whatever. Right. That's fine. And then let's make it small. And then this power ups, I honestly think we need to set it to like 30% because it was kind of big. Okay, cool. And then this rocket. And so let's just get the rocket working by itself to test. So let's just do just for testing. Okay. Um, actually, I kind of just know how to do it. So let me just show you how it's done. So, um, we're gonna just do rocket power. Okay. And then let's just do this. So we're gonna duplicate this, throw that away. Okay, and then costume number three, which is going to be, and let's just hard code this. Okay, so random. We don't want to randomize this too much, but that's okay. It is what it is. And then we'll broadcast this rocket power. That's all there is to it. So it's the same thing. And then we'll want to just code the rocket, right? So we could say, hey, when you receive rocket power, and I'm just going to show you the code I have here. Hide, show, wait, I do 0.2. So just zero point 0.2 seconds, wait for a second, and then go to wherever the paddle is. And this rocket's just going to knock out one of these bricks, right? So we're going to go to the paddle and then forever. Okay. You touch the brick. Yeah. Um, we can hide. I'm just thinking, sorry, I got kind of confused. So one, and then let's hide it. Uh, Okay, let's hide it. And then I'm also thinking we want to change y by 10. This is what's going to make it go up. Okay. So, and then when we start the game, let's just go ahead and hide it there as well. So, okay. And then you could broadcast hit here as well, I think is how I handled it. So I'm going to broadcast hit. Um, well, okay. I think what I could just do, we do want to make it disappear. So I'm trying to think how I handled this. So I think we could also do like if touching rocket, we can delete this clone with bricks. Maybe that'll do it. Um, yeah, that might be that might be the best way to do it. So let's do an or. I see now. Or so if touching ball or if we're touching the rocket, we'll run the same code. So I don't think we need the broadcast hit now that I think about it. Let's go back to this rocket and let's get rid of that. Okay. All right. Okay. I think this should work. So let's do it. And then let's just see. Should get a rocket power up coming down. We grab it and then it launches a rocket and cool. That looks cool. I think that looks cool. Okay. Awesome. So that's basically it. I would just say like that multi-ball. That one's like the most difficult one because yeah, preventing multiples might be an issue. So maybe you only let the user have like one multi-ball uh per session or whatever it is. Like you make a Boolean and say, hey, if multi-ball equals, you set a multi-ball to true at the beginning of the game and then set it to false if you ever get it. So you would just do that. Boom. Cool. So you just do it like that. So in power-ups, we can randomize 1 to 3, right? But then the costume would only be, you know, yeah. So you might make multi-ball into like a different sprite. I'm not exactly sure how you would handle that really, really quickly. I'm trying to like rack my brain because I wouldn't want multi-ball to fall and you get it and it just say, oh, like you didn't get it. So I mean, maybe you make the multi-ball costume 3 and you only do, you only switch to costume 3 um if this variable, right, that you make like multi-ball used, right? Right. If that variable is true, you drop it. If it's false, you can't drop it for the rest of the game. That's how I would handle it. Um, that sounds fine, but I think this is good enough to kind of get everybody started. And then obviously you can add like a little background or whatever and add quite a bit of stuff to this. So this one kind of would be nice. I really like this one, Neon Tunnel. So yeah, this is like a pretty decent one. The only thing I don't, like I said, the only problem I'm having with this one is the multi-ball. I just think that that might be, but let me just play this for a little bit. So here we get a multi-ball right away. And then if a clone dies, okay, if a clone dies, it's not a big deal, but here we got it. So maybe we also make the multi-balls. Here we get another multi-ball. Maybe we make the multi-balls a different color, whatever you guys, think. But that one I think needs a little bit of polishing. Um, yeah, so create clone of myself. When I start as a clone, maybe we make, I'm just man. Switch costume to ball. Yeah, like maybe E, right? And then yeah, let's see, let's test that. So let's go to power-ups. Let's see if we get it. Okay. And then at 37, we should get the multi-ball power up. And then that way we know okay, cool. So we know these are the ones that we can just kind of let drop, but this one's the one that, will affect our lives. So yeah, this is better. I like this a little bit better. And then this count, you don't want to hard code things in gaming, right? You want to like make it to where this is more randomized. So that's another challenge. But so far I kind of like this pretty basic version. I just really like doing the power-ups, to be honest, in this game. So yeah, you want to add like a game over screen, a you win screen, or a next level. Maybe if in this loop you can say, hey, if you're at a certain level, these uh these go up, right? You repeat 5 times, repeat 6 times, so you have 3 levels, whatever you want to do for this brick breaker. But yeah, I think that's it. All right. Have a good one.